You ever struggle with something, really struggle, and still say, I've got it? Like your hands are full, your brain is fried, you're one inconvenience away from staring at a wall for 20 minutes, and someone offers help, and you instantly go, no, no, I'm good. Even when you're clearly not good. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's someone you know. The friend who carries everything alone. The one who disappears when things get heavy. The one who would rather break than ask. It looks like independence, strength even. But there's a quiet psychology behind people who rarely ask for help. And once you see it, you start noticing it everywhere, including in yourself. Because not asking for help is rarely just about help. It's about something deeper. Pause for a second. Think about the person who always shows up for others, but never reaches out themselves. They'll listen to your problems at 2 a.m., give advice, stay present, but when it's their turn, silence. This is the self-reliant caretaker. Somewhere along the way, they learn that their role is to be the strong one, the dependable one, the one who doesn't need. Maybe they grew up in an environment where being vulnerable wasn't safe, or where asking for help was ignored, or worse, punished, so they adapted. They became the helper instead of the one being helped. Psychologically, this creates a quiet imbalance. Their identity becomes tied to giving, not receiving, and receiving starts to feel uncomfortable, almost wrong, like they're breaking a role they've been playing for years. And you might recognize this if compliments make you uneasy, or if asking for help feels like you're suddenly taking up too much space. And here's the twist. They're often the people who need support the most. But then there's another kind, the I don't want to be a burden type. You can almost hear the thought before they say anything. I'll just handle it, not because they believe they're stronger, but because they believe they're heavier, that their problems will inconvenience people, that asking will shift the mood, that someone will secretly think, why can't you just deal with this yourself? So they stay quiet. They downplay their struggles. They shrink their needs. And over time, this turns into emotional isolation. Not because no one cares, but because they've decided preemptively that their needs are too much. It's a kind of invisible self-rejection. You might see it in how they phrase things. It's nothing, really. Don't worry about it. I'll figure it out. But underneath that is a deeper question they don't ask out loud. Am I allowed to need people? Then there's a more subtle profile, the control keeper. This person doesn't avoid help because they feel small. They avoid it because it makes them feel exposed. When you ask for help, you're not just asking for assistance, you're revealing a gap, a weakness, something you couldn't handle alone. And for some people, that loss of control is deeply uncomfortable. They'd rather struggle privately than be seen struggling publicly. There's a sense of safety and self-containment, in knowing that everything stays within their control, their timing, their standards. Because once someone else is involved, things get unpredictable. They might do it differently. They might misunderstand. They might see something you weren't ready to show. So the person thinks, it's easier if I just do it myself, even if easier actually means harder. You might recognize this if you've ever redone something someone helped you with, or hesitated to delegate because it's faster if I do it. But underneath that efficiency is often a quiet fear of being seen imperfectly. And then there's the one people don't expect, the used to disappointment type. This person did ask for help once, maybe more than once, and it didn't go well. They were ignored, dismissed, let down, or maybe the help came with strings attached, judgment, guilt, expectations. So eventually they stopped asking, not out of pride, not out of independence, but out of memory. Psychologically, this is protective. The brain learns, asking leads to disappointment, so let's avoid the situation entirely. And over time, this turns into a quiet rule. Don't rely on anyone. The tricky part is, this belief can stick even when the environment changes, even when there are people who would show up. But the mind is still operating from old data, so they carry everything alone, not because they want to, but because trusting feels riskier than struggling. And if you've ever thought, I'd rather deal with it myself than be let down again, that might be you. Now here's where it gets interesting. All these types look similar from the outside. Independent, private, low maintenance. But inside, completely different stories. One is protecting their identity. Another is shrinking their needs. Another is guarding control. Another is avoiding past pain. Same behavior, different psychology. And that's why it's so easy to misunderstand them. You might think they don't need help, when in reality, they just don't know how to ask for it anymore. So let me ask you something. When was the last time you asked for help before things got overwhelming? Not when you had no choice, not when everything was already falling apart, but early, honestly, without editing it down. If that question feels uncomfortable, there's something there. Because learning to ask for help isn't just about getting support. It's about unlearning the belief that you have to carry everything alone. And maybe, just maybe, the strongest shift isn't becoming more independent. It's realizing you were never meant to do it all by yourself. So which one felt familiar? And more importantly, what would it take for you to ask just a little sooner next time?